Don't ruin my morning.
X-Men first hit theaters almost 2 decades ago, launching a massive franchise and making a superstar out of Hugh Jackman, an actor who was far from the first choice for Wolverine.
That won't ever happen again.
Fox first obtained the X-Men rights in the mid-90s, with Kiefer Sutherland and Jackie Earle Haley's names tossed around as Wolverine. Rocker Glenn Danzig was even considered for a lower-budget version. However, when director Bryan Singer came aboard, his first choice was Russell Crowe. The actor, however, had just come off Gladiator and felt Wolverine was too similar of a character.
Are you not entertained?
Johnny Depp reportedly turned it down, and several other actors were considered, including Mel Gibson, Aaron Eckhart, Jean-Claude Van Damme, Viggo Mortensen, Edward Norton, Keanu Reeves, and Gary Sinise.
Yes, I know that.
But the role was offered to Dougray Scott, who was coming off of Ever After and had just booked the villain in Mission Impossible 2. After he was injured on that set and had to back out, and with X-Men already 3 weeks into filming, they went to Jackman, whom fellow Aussie Crowe had suggested earlier and who won the role on his first audition.
Because I'm the best there is at what I do.
For Professor X, Michael Jackson reportedly lobbied for the role and Terrence Stamp auditioned, but the director was a Star Trek fan and felt Patrick Stewart was perfect for the part.
I may be able to help you find some answers.
Meanwhile, Jackson's sister Janet auditioned for Storm, as did fellow singer Mariah Carey. That was after Angela Bassett passed and before Jada Pinkett Smith had to turn it down due to a scheduling conflict. Producers then landed on Halle Berry after seeing her in Introducing Dorothy Dandridge.
You can't stop that many.
No, but we can slow them down.
For Magneto, David Hemblin, who voiced him in the earlier animated series, was considered, as was Christopher Lee. In the end, though, the director went with Ian McKellen, whom he had worked with on 1998's Apt Pupil.
Who will you stand with, the humans or us?
Another Star Trek alum, Jerry Ryan, was in the running for Mystique, but Rebecca Romijn won out.
Told you so.
After Natalie Portman turned down Rogue, producers considered Kirsten Dunst, Sarah Michelle Gellar, Christina Ricci, and Rachel Lee Cook before offering the role to Anna Paquin.
Suddenly, my life doesn't look that bad.
Hey, if you prefer the road.
No.
For Cyclops, Ben Affleck, Matt Damon, Ethan Hawke, Edward Burns, and Vince Vaughn were among those considered. Jim Caviezel and Thomas Jane both turned it down, and D.B. Sweeney auditioned before it landed with James Marsden.
You gotta be careful. I might not be there next time.
Finally, after Helen Hunt passed on Jean Grey, Selma Blair, Lucy Lawless, and Maria Bello were all considered. An offer went to Peta Wilson, but she had to decline to make La Femme Nikita, clearing the way for Famke Janssen.
Are you bored yet? Oh, yeah.
10 more X-Men related movies have followed, grossing billions. The 12th movie, Dark Phoenix, starring Game of Thrones' Sophie Turner, hits theaters June 7th, to be followed by The New Mutants, starring Turner's Game of Thrones co-star, Maisie Williams.
You actually go outside in these things? What would you prefer? Yellow spandex?
Give a clown $1 billion and he'll make all his friends as vulgar as he.
Sorry, it's only such a it's not a big deal, it's not a big deal.
If we break down Birds of Prey, The Suicide Squad, and a possible R-rated future for the Batman. Joker scored box office records for DC and for R-rated movies in general, so Warner Brothers is gambling that its next 2 comic book team-ups will win big with the same formula.
None of us are walking out of here unless we work together.
Margot Robbie's audaciously adorable Harley Quinn survived the critical castigation of 2016's PG-13 Suicide Squad to be reborn twice. First in February 2020's Birds of Prey and The Fabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn, if you want to get technical about it, and then again in August 2021's R-rated reboot of The Suicide Squad.
Are you guys seeing this?
Although she's not yet scheduled to face off with the new big screen Batman in 2021, Harley has been locking horns with Bruce Wayne on her own extremely obscene DC Universe animated series that only just began airing on Thanksgiving 2019, and it's already becoming a fan favorite on IMDb.
If you want to with me, I will right back.
DC is chasing what works, allowing a dark and dirty filmmaker like James Gunn to bring his gritty vision to a franchise that the company recently tried and fumbled. Now that Gunn is gunning for an R rating on The Suicide Squad, you have to look no further than his Cape Crusade Super to see what he may have in store for Harley and the gang. In between its team-ups, DC has a pair of standalones. Wonder Woman 1984 is coming June 2020, and considering the first lassoed 821 million worldwide, it's likely DC will repeat the PG-13 formula for the sequel. Because if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
It's wonderful.
Yeah.
You should be very proud.
Thank you very much.
Later that same month, Matt Reeves' The Batman is supposed to debut, but the cast is still coming together. Robert Pattinson is the Lock for the Cape and Cowl, Zoe Kravitz for Catwoman, and Paul Dano as the Riddler.
I'd like it better if you didn't think I was stupid.
Andy Serkis and Colin Farrell are still circling big roles in what director Reeves describes as an old Warner Brothers gangster film. Bruce Wayne, who's only in his second year as the Batman, hence the superfluous article like when Facebook used to be called The Facebook, must collect clues in a noir-driven detective story that leads him into Gotham's criminal underworld of penguins, riddlers, falcons, and perhaps even clowns.
Can you introduce me as Joker?
After breaking $1 billion, sequel talks were inevitable, as were the decisions to make Birds of Prey and The Suicide Squad follow in its bloody, restricted footsteps. But Team DC is still denying that the Bat will meet his most infamous foe. At least not yet.
You wanted me. Here I am.
Joaquin Phoenix and writer-director Todd Phillips went to great lengths in their claims that Joker was always envisioned as a standalone one-off, but the pair are now open to developing a sequel.
Is this a joke to you?
They'd be balloonier than all of Arkham Asylum not to go for an R-rated Joker 2, and DC must be at least entertaining ways that Joaquin could cameo in the Batman to bring some anarchy to Gotham, or in a potential crossover of their own. Regardless of where or when, the two paths are converging in what has the potential for the hard R heroics promised on the pages of The Killing Joke and Arkham Asylum, a serious house on a serious earth. Harley and her brand new gal pals are set for a night out of a lifetime in Gotham City.
We should order pizza.
We break down the Birds of Prey trailer to see what secrets may lie in this fresh look at the DC Extended Universe. If you survived Suicide Squad, fear not. Jared Leto Joker will not be tailing former Flame Harley Quinn to February 2020's Birds of Prey, hence the film's tongue-twisting subtitle and the fantabulous emancipation of one Harley Quinn.
I'm so fucking over clowns.
Us too. Despite this picking up just after Joker and Harley's love affair fizzles, the story will be a novel start for Margot Robbie's fan-favorite Quinn, who hasn't really palled around with the DC super team Birds of Prey in the comic books since their 1996 introduction. Maybe it was for a good reason. Anyway, Harley and her Secret Six cohorts have shared some frames with these foul not foul females, usually as foes, like in Birds of Prey issues number 104 through 108 when they threw down in Mother Russia.
Who are you guys?
We're getting to that. Although the comic books have rolled through a roster of nearly 24 birds, including everyone from Hawk to Hawk Girl, this fledgling trio is Huntress, a gymnast sure-shot daughter of a mafioso played by Mary Elizabeth Winstead. Black Canary, a martial artist scream queen played by Journey Smollett Bell.
I wasn't the only dame in Gotham looking for emancipation.
And Renee Montoya, one of Gotham City's finest played by Rosie Perez. In the comic books, Montoya becomes the Question after her mentor, Charles Victor Zsasz, retires. Charles Victor Zsasz is a different guy than Victor Zsasz, the Scarface serial killer that Chris Messina plays in Birds of Prey, but come on, DC has been doing this for over 80 years and there are only so many names that they can use.
Who's having a good time?
We are. Ewan McGregor is the big bad in this, Black Mask, a crime lord obsessed with masks. He's chasing down this young diamond thief who Harley and the Birds band together to protect.
Oh, you're that psycho chick.
And she's Cassandra Cain, played by newcomer Ella J. Basco. A character with a constantly retconned origin story, but generally she's the deadly daughter of assassins adopted by Bruce Wayne, which prompts her to take up the Batgirl mantle. In that continuity, she replaces Helena Wayne, aka Helena Kyle, the actual daughter of Bruce Wayne, aka Batman, and Selina Kyle, aka Catwoman.
You're catnip to a girl like me.
That Helena goes by Huntress, but she's a different Huntress than the one that Mary Elizabeth Winstead plays, and separate from the Helena Kyle Huntress that Ashley Scott played in the 2002 Birds of Prey series, and who is making a cameo comeback on the CW's Crisis on Infinite Earths crossover event in December. It's just that perhaps DC has run out of new names after a near century of comic book publishing.
What, we some kind of Suicide Squad?
Well, you were. Now a new one is coming in 2021, and Harley's returning with a bunch of weird new supers and a "the" to the title that should make the differentiation clear, right? Nah, who cares? We can't wait for Harley and her birds to paint the DCEU neon pink in February 2020. And for more trending tales from every extent.
Before Angelina Jolie was an Oscar-winning actress and heralded humanitarian, she was nearly something else entirely, a teen heartthrob.
Can I buy you a drink?
I already have one.
Jolie spent the late 80s and early 90s auditioning for iconic teenager roles and was reportedly considered for Kelly Kapowski on Saved by the Bell, which instead went to Tiffany Thiessen, and auditioned for Cher in Clueless, which Alicia Silverstone won over a list that also included Thiessen, Kerry Russell, Gwyneth Paltrow, and Reese Witherspoon.
As if.
The following year, Jolie, Silverstone, and Scarlett Johansson all screen tested for The Craft, but Jolie lost the role to Neve Campbell, and Robin Tunney, Rachel True, and Fairuza Balk rounded out the cast. After winning back-to-back Golden Globes for the George Wallace miniseries and Gia, Jolie passed on Winona Ryder's role in Alien Resurrection and Carrie-Anne Moss's in the Matrix trilogy, but beat out Courtney Love for Girl Interrupted, which earned her an Oscar for Supporting Actress and third consecutive Globe.
Can I have a vanilla sundae with hot fudge? And, sprinkles.
Jolie was then offered Charlie's Angels, but turned it down, and Lucy Liu eventually got the role after Jada Pinkett Smith also passed, and Tandy Newton was delayed on Mission Impossible 2. Instead, Jolie signed on for Lara Croft Tomb Raider, a coveted role for which Sandra Bullock, Catherine Zeta-Jones, Ashley Judd, Jennifer Lopez, Jennifer Love Hewitt, Elizabeth Hurley, and Denise Richards were in contention.
Was it programmed to stop before it took my head off?
After then losing out on Hannibal to Julianne Moore, Jolie auditioned for Velma in Chicago, which went to Zeta-Jones, and Unfaithful, which went to Diane Lane over Jennifer Lopez, who also reportedly auditioned. Jolie did take over for Zeta-Jones when she and Kevin Costner left Beyond Borders, and Jolie nearly stepped in for Nicole Kidman on Panic Room after she was injured on Moulin Rouge, but the part went to Jodie Foster instead. In 2005, Jolie landed the role that would pair her with once-husband Brad Pitt in Mr. and Mrs. Smith, but had to contend with Nicole Kidman, Catherine Zeta-Jones, Chloe Sevigny, and none other than Gwen Stefani, who auditioned multiple times. A few years later, Jolie was considered for The Reader, but lost out to Kate Winslet.
But either way, it gives me something I didn't have before tonight.
What's that?
Hope.
Jolie was also considered for Black Widow and Iron Man 2 after Emily Blunt dropped out, but the role was instead filled by Scarlett Johansson. That same year, Jolie replaced Charlize Theron in The Tourist, and both were at times attached to Atlas Shrugged Part 1 until Taylor Schilling eventually came on board. More recently, Jolie was attached to Gravity opposite Robert Downey Jr., but both moved on to other movies and Sandra Bullock and George Clooney came aboard. Or would it be abort?
Do you copy?
Yes, I copy. I'm detached.
Jolie returns to the big screen this fall in Mistress of Evil, which is not a sequel to Clueless or The Craft, but rather the next Maleficent movie.
Don't ruin my morning.